The PE ratio and yield. The PE ratio and yield uses two terms that also have video explanations. The P is simply the market price, and the E is the earnings per share or EPS. If you haven't watched those two video explanations, you'll want to start there first. When we compare the price to earnings, we can quickly assess the expected return of the business. Think of the PE ratio like this. If the PE ratio is 15, you could say, for every $15 I spend buying this company, I can expect $1 of profit 1 year later. Now, that statement can be used for any PE ratio. All you need to do is simply replace the first number in the sentence. The last part of the sentence where you say $1 of profit 1 year later will always stay the same. Now that we know this little trick, let's try it with a really high PE ratio like 100. For every $100 I spend buying this company, I can expect $1 of profit 1 year later. That sounds horrible, right? Now let's try it with a low PE, like 5. For every $5 I spend buying this company, I can expect $1 of profit 1 year later. Wow, now that sounds really good. So you might be asking yourself, why in the world would anyone ever want to buy a company with a high PE ratio? When this is observed, most likely you're dealing with a business that is growing very quickly. As a result, speculators are driving up the price of the business because they expect the earnings to be significantly higher next year. Whether you want to follow the tenets of value investing like Warren Buffett, where you find cheap and stable businesses with a reasonably low PE ratio, or conduct growth investing where highly speculative businesses are priced at higher levels that already account for the future earnings potential but are priced today at that level, that's your decision. Now, here's an additional way to think about the PE ratio. Some think that this is actually easier, and that's to turn it into a yield. This can be done by simply inverting the numerator and denominator. This gives you the EP ratio or earnings yield. By inverting the two variables, we are able to see the expected yield of the business based on the current market price and current profits or earnings. When you look at the EP ratio or the earnings yield, this is simply showing you what you might expect to get as an annual return. Here's the key point when thinking about the PE ratio. This number is very vague and only provides that snapshot in time. If you see a business that has a higher yield or PE ratio, be sure to dig deeper and understand their potential growth rate before making any decisions. Additionally, if you see a business with a very low PE ratio or yield, try to understand the future risks or lack of sales growth so you can account for any potential troubles into the future.